slider that we want to look at is you can look at the year. So you can grab the fiscal year and graph it. You see, this gives us an option slider that allows you to slide between 2016 and 2020. You can change the format of the slider to have a drop-down menu, or you can also have a multi-check, a single or multiple check, okay? But you can see that now, it doesn't matter what we do here. So let's just say that we want to show examples in class. We said there are situations where you don't necessarily need a fancy chart. All you need is a number. What's our revenue for what's our gross margin in or gross results in Europe? Okay. Or you can create a card. Of the card moves and changes depending on the filters you create. Now, if you remember the data here, some of the information during the fiscal year, then the actual sales result. This is where if you don't have your mapping correctly, all those filters are going to fall apart. In some cases will be obvious. In other cases may actually give you the wrong result. Okay? So this is where I say it's very important and you spend a lot of time first cleaning and then creating the right relationships before you get to aggregate values. One thing about slices and filters is that they're very important because they can actually operate within a report page, but also if you have multiple report pages, you can create multiple pages. And again, welcome to have multiple pages for your submission and have each report again limited to 3 or 4 charts. But make sure that there is cohesiveness in the story when you're presenting, okay? Because if you're presenting a story and you're jumping between reports, then and you're doing that just because I really need 8 charts, I think it's going to be really difficult for you to do that. Okay? But if you have a report dedicated to analysis of occupancy, I don't know, of the hotel. And then a separate analysis which talks about regional behavior or whatever. Like, so it's something that's completely different. Then it may make sense to separate in different reports. Okay? I think you asked the question, do I need to actually have text?
Yes.
Here.
Executive.
I would limit whatever you have on the dashboard to key takeaways. Nothing more, nothing less than what we've seen in class during the examples. We're seeing class examples of charts. Advantage of titles and subtitles. Right? Don't just say revenue by region, right? Or number of bookings by channel. That you're missing an opportunity if you do that. Okay? Make sense? Now, there are also things that you are somewhat limited with Power BI in that some visual components you only have limited control over. So as an example, access labels, they'll be automatically horizontal, but then depending on the amount of data that you will put in a visualization, they'll change and be vertical or tilted. So I want to hold you accountable to that. But again, question yourself first if you really need all the data that you have in the chart. So when you're looking at the error messages in the checkout example, do you really need all 25 possibilities? Probably not. You want to focus the chart to the top 5 reasons, right? Apply the Pareto criteria. You know, what are the 20% of the reasons that give you 80% of the total number of the errors? Okay? Yes? I loaded also a sales and marketing sample Power BI notebook. So I'm going to take a quick look. And you're welcome to follow along. But I just want to show. It is fairly, once you have the measurements, it's fairly intuitive, okay? To do the work with your visualization. Here would be all the sales of the company, right? You can see increase and drops, goes again. Now, do you need to do something like this? Right? So this is where filters are important. You want to focus the reader on a specific time horizon. Right? In some cases, you may want to show certain patterns. So take advantage of the visual components, okay? But this is where you need to be careful. Because some of the visual components are static. So if you're using filters and slicers, so for example, say I am going to be adding a okay, so say for example, we start with something like this. My central. Okay. You can always add annotation, okay? So you can have text boxes. Okay. Then you can have a value to the text box. this could be useful as an example if you're trying to make a point on, hey, something specific happened here. Okay? But that's static. Its position is not dynamic, which means that at some point during your presentation you start changing your filters, then the static components are still going to be there. So be careful, okay? These local annotations can be very powerful, but know what is that you want. Okay, one way to think about it is you may want to think about some reports to be static in nature and some reports to be dynamic. Okay, so you would have certain filters on some reports, but not in others. If you choose to do that, whenever you have a filter or a slicer of sort, make sure you don't have a cross report enabled, otherwise it'll change also on the static reports. Okay? Is that clear? Again, text is just an example of annotations. I'm not going to go every single possibility, okay? But you can of the sales. Okay? This is an example of contrast. Okay? And it is useful to draw the reader's attention into it. So please do look and think carefully about craft, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. If this annotation refers to these events, make sure that, again, proximity, make that close. Okay? I know this sounds obvious. You won't believe how hard is it going to be. Okay? Just be thoughtful. Okay?
And if you change later the filter, that
No, this shape is static. That's what I mean. I wouldn't necessarily do annotations, manual annotations, on a dynamic report. So you may want to think about having either static reports or you have a dynamic report and then static pages. On the static pages, I would recommend doing the annotation, the manual annotation. Okay? Any questions? Yeah? No? Okay. Shall we do one more exercise now that you've seen